All right, Oscar, welcome to the podcast. So I'm glad you're able to finally do it. This has been a couple weeks in the making, maybe even a month. I don't know.
I know. I'm sorry. It's been taking a while. My life it's been a little crazy as I was just
So
telling
I've
you.
heard, yeah.
Yeah. I just moved to a new apartment and it's just been crazy. Like I needed to get a lot of stuff from zero, like kitchen stuff and cleaning products and everything, groceries, everything from zero kind of thing. So it was like a little reset of my life. Still working on it. So it's plus shows, plus rehearsals, plus work, plus whatever else. So it's been quite crazy, but I mean, I'm dealing with it. I'm going through it, and it's like it feels like a new chapter in my life right now.
Where'd you move from?
I was in Hollywood, and I'm still in Hollywood, Central Hollywood. It's just I moved from a place to another. I was living with somebody, so yeah, it's been quite
So
crazy.
you live
But
in the heart of it. You live in the heart of everything.
yeah, no, literally, my place it's behind the Chinese theater.
Okay. Wow.
It's
That's
the
that's
heart.
literally the heart of it.
Yeah, so it's crazy because um, there's so many people. It's like so loud, and there's like right now the Oscars are happening, so it's like so many streets are closed, and there's a lot of police, and it's just
How do you
so
even get around when it's that hot and heavy?
yeah, and so much tourist people, like so many people selling stuff in the street. But it's magical too, It's like it's Hollywood. That's the vibe, and there's a lot of like crazy people out there, and well, who knows? Maybe I'm one of them.
I mean, Hollywood is full of artists. It's not exactly the most typical type of brains that are existing out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
better or worse.
It's all over
Well,
the place.
yeah. Beforehand, actually, I originally heard from you from a previous guest. His name was Bentley Mitchum, and if I recall correctly, you guys met at a. It was a famous concert or event that went on where you guys also played in with Limp Bizkit. I forget what the name of the event is slipping my mind, but
Oh,
it's
it's a tour called Loserville.
Oh, Loserville. Yeah. Because that happens. That's the tour. Loserville, is that by Limp Bizkit, or is that an event that hosts people like him?
No, it's an event of Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit. They started it. This was the first edition, and now they're like taking it to Europe with different bands and stuff. So it's very interesting project because I've heard that they want to do a bunch of Loserville tours all over the world and just with different
Okay.
lineups and kind of make it into a little festival, and maybe eventually would be like once a year kind of thing. So they're going big with this idea, and I love it, and I'm so glad and happy that I was able to be on the first Loserville. Hopefully we can join another one in the future, but we played the first note of Loserville,
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Who knows where that's gonna lead to? Like right now we did this tour. It was so successful over America. Like every night was sold out, kind of thing. And then now they're taking it to Europe, and then who knows where else they're gonna take it, and what Loserville is gonna become, and who knows, right? And the fact that we were the very first band that played on a Loserville, it's interesting. It's like it's something that not everybody gets to tell.
How did you get? Did they contact you, or did you apply? How did you end up in the opening act of Loserville?
Yeah, so I met Corey through her keyboard player. She had a Christmas party. She's a friend of my girlfriend back in the day, and we went to this Christmas party just to hang out with our friends. And there was Corey, and I knew Corey from the Goonies, of course. Like I was such a big fan of the Goonies when I was a little kid. Like I've always wanted to be an actor and sort of did acting, but like I always wanted to be like in a Hollywood movie, kind of like Steven
Mm-hmm.
Spielberg Goonies,
Right.
So the fact of meeting him was something really cool. And then he told me that he needed a drummer, and I'm like, well, I'm a drummer. I'm gonna have a show this weekend at the Rainbow. You can come see me, and if you like it, then you can call me or whatever. So he did it. He went there with his guitarist Greg, and they saw the Johnny Nastwood show, me playing drums. They loved it, and after the show, he tells me, "All right, you have an audition on Monday." Well, yeah, it
So it
was
happened that quickly then.
it was quick at the beginning, and then it took a while for them to like make a decision. I had like a couple of auditions, and then they took a few weeks, and then they told me I was the guy. And right away, like we started the whole like legal process for like working visa, etc., and like making it real. So it was crazy. Like you last year, 2024, it was beautiful for me in so many ways. And yeah, the biggest highlight was for sure the opening act of Limp Bizkit. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, was this for just you individually, or was this also for your band that you recently joined?
No, this was just for me. It was,
Okay.
yeah, this was an opportunity just for me because Corey and I, Bentley and I, we were playing for Corey. So it was mostly like Corey's band, Corey's project. And
Okay.
I was just filling in as a drummer. And now we have a really good relationship. Like we're good friends. I spent Christmas with him, and at his house, with Bentley and with other friends, and it's been nice to get to know him and being close to him because I've seen him in so many movies like Stand By Me and Lost Boys and The Gremlins and Friday 13. He has so many good movies, and he's like so iconic,
Mm-hmm.
And now on this tour, he went like super viral because he did this crazy guitar solo that he knew it was going to blow people's mind. And I'm right behind him on the drums. So it's really funny how like it's like a full circle thing because if you Google Corey, one of the first videos you see, it's that guitar solo, and I'm right there. It's like it's kind of like very. What are the odds for me like to happen to me? Coming all the way from Mexico, so it's been good for me.
Were you originally born in Mexico?
Yeah, I'm born in Monterrey. It's in the north of Mexico. It's a beautiful city, and I did a lot of years of my career there. Then I moved to Mexico City. I was there almost for 10 years working on, the music industry and entertainment business as a host and radio host, and actor on theater and stuff. So yeah, it's been a long road.
And you grew up also in an artistic household. Like your dad is also an artist who has been around the block a couple times, as I understand. Is that right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I got pretty lucky that I was born in an environment of artists in my family. So I was like thrown to television and radio and stages like right away. Because at the beginning, I was just, as a company, because your parents, they'll, when you're a kid, they will just take you anywhere they have to go, So I
Mm-hmm.
was there. And then I fell in love with the industry. Like I fell in love with the art, like
Just the arts in general, or was it music or acting more specifically?
it was definitely music and acting more specifically, but in general, like as I discovered more things, I was just then I discovered the TV hosting, and then I discovered radio hosting, and then I discovered movies, and then I discovered series, and then I discovered so many things that
You
I
like a
that I
lot of everything.
and it was like whoa, like this is my shit, like it's
Yeah.
clearly it's in my veins, it's in my blood, like my family, it's been on being entertainment business for so long, it just makes sense. Which my brothers and sisters, they didn't click that way. They do so many different things. Like my sister, it's like computers nerd, and then my other
Hmm.
brother is like so into soccer, like football soccer, and then my other sister it's into like anime and shit. It's like nothing like like I was the only one from my father that has like that spirit for art.
Do you think that because of that, you and your father have a more specific connection that your other siblings don't necessarily have?
Um, Not necessarily
Not like in
because
a negative way, but there is a
no,
way that
no,
because because
oh no,
artists
I'm
do
the same.
have an undertone of like they speak the same language, they talk shop. There's a different connection there.
Sure, no, yeah, 100%, that's for sure. But the thing with my dad and my siblings is that like every one of them like shares something like we share art. He loves soccer, and I don't give a flying fuck about soccer.
I can relate to that.
I mean, it's fun. Like I like to watch it. I like to play it. It's so fun to play it. I'm super bad, but I just love fucking kicking the ball, whatever. But at the end, I know nothing. Like I'm a music nerd. So my little brother, he has that with my dad. Like they talk about football and soccer all day, and they
Okay, they got their own wavelength going on.
yeah, it's like me and him talking about music or art is the same way for him to talk about soccer with my brother. So I feel like they all have something, but for sure I was the only one that really wanted to dedicate my whole life to this.
Okay. At what age do you think you recognize that this is something you would like to do seriously?
Oof. It's hard to tell because there were so many things that happened in my childhood that there were like definitive moments of like, wow, I could do this. Wow, I could
Because
do this.
if you're always enveloped in that atmosphere, obviously there's going to be a lot of different memories that all kind of blur together. So I can understand it's hard to parse out, between which ones might be.
Yeah, but I can tell you like a few very clear moments. So, um, when I was like 7 or 8, um, I did like a series that became really famous in Latin America, all
Hmm.
over the world. Honestly, it's called Rebelde, and now they just did like their comeback tour, like reunion tour. It was huge, selling out the stadiums and shit. Anyway, um, so I did like a little cameo on that series. He was like on the first episode. I was like acting as I was a flashback memory of the main character, and I was like the version of him as a little kid. And when I did that, like it was filmed in my hometown in Monterrey, but it was a Mexico City production,
Hmm.
and like Mexico City productions are way bigger than my hometown's production. I'll tell you what. And they
I
came to
believe
my
it.
hometown to film, and I got the part, and I did this little cameo of the main character, and it was something small. Anyway, it goes on the air, it blows up. These guys has like music albums and shit. They're touring the fucking world. They're selling out, and I'm like, wow, like I'm part of that. I can't believe it. It's like that was a big like opening eyes for me to see like, wow, I could be part of something like this, like I can be one of those guys. I can be the main character in the future, not just
Hmm.
a cameo, like and see like how the impact that series had. It was like something that blew my mind, and
Okay.
and, and I was part of it in a little small way, but I was part of it. So I was like, damn, like
It was just enough to taste a bite of the sweet apple.
yeah, you said it perfectly. Thank you. Exactly. And then there was another time where my dad took me to a Motley Crue concert in my hometown too. It was the Carnival of Sins tour in 2006, and I discovered Tommy fucking Lee on the drums, and then I was gone. And then then that's like a before and after in my life, because when I discovered Motley and Tommy, I was just like, I was a different person. I was 10. It really defined me as a drummer. I was like, oh no, I actually want to do that instead.
Uh
Like,
huh.
so in my whole career, I combined those two things. I was always like on the TV acting or hosting or radio hosting. Now I do podcast hosting, which is something kind of similar.
You have a
Um,
podcast with your dad, correct?
yeah, we do. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like that father and son conversations, but like things that people won't really talked about with their parents because they're like, I don't know, spicy subjects, or like really personal, deep shit, and drugs, sex, partying, whatever.
What do you
And
think
like,
lends that open line of communication that you have with him?
I would say the fact that we share a similar the similar path of our careers, and that he showed me rock and roll. He showed me the music. He showed me the bands. He showed me all the movies I liked when I was a kid, and like Charles Chaplin and Buster Keaton and all these classic actors. And like I just connected right away.
Hmm.
Like I was in it, like no doubt, no second thoughts. And I think that's something that he really likes about me, is that like I'm him in so many ways. So we have like that special connection, and we're so close and so tight that we can talk about anything, literally anything, and it's fine. He's like my friend. He's my When he has to be my father, give me a bad time, he will. But
Right.
mostly, he's really open mind. He smokes
Hmm.
weed. He's like he's really chill. He has a lot of background, so he's a special one. Like I I'm very lucky because I talk to my other friends and I can tell that they don't have that same relationship, or that they cannot talk about the same
Right.
thing. And now we have a podcast about it, and people are just in shock.
How long has that podcast been going on, and how long do you think you'll end up doing it for?
It's been out there for like a year and a half, or yeah, it's been out there for like a year and a half. And I don't know for how long we're gonna still do it, but I know for sure that I want to change the format, because I feel like we've been doing the same format for so long now
Hmm.
that for me personally, it feels like we need a little change. So this podcast, it's made in my hometown. So I live in Los Angeles. So every time I go to Monterrey, Mexico, we film like a bunch of episodes. So now I want to like change the dynamic. Like I'm thinking about like just doing like more like a reality show. Like we're going to bowling, we're going to the dispensary, we're going to a night out, we're going to do like activities and just film it, and just that's it. Instead of us just sitting talking about shit. Like I feel like at
So more
this
like a
point,
vlog type style.
yeah, more like a vlog. And we can still do the same format too, but like I don't know. It's something that I want to pursue with that podcast. That it's like it's gonna be the next chapter.
Now, is music your main focus now, or are you still trying to pursue something in terms of acting?
It's music mostly right now. I do want to do um, radio hosting and TV hosting for sure, like big time, because it also pays the bills faster. Um, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's better well paid than music. At least at this point. If I would be doing like war tours and I'm Fred Durst, well, I don't need a TV host. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
you get a lot of fucking money. But like in the position I am right now, where like my bands are still like developing their fandoms, I feel like that would fit perfect for me. it's just been hard to reach to them. Like I've been so invested in music, and it takes so much time from you that I haven't really focused on really attacking that, like going for it.
I mean,
But
there's only so many hours in the day, though.
exactly, yeah. And so I feel like eventually I do want to pursue that because I feel like I would do a good fit in LA as a TV and radio host because I talk both language. I talk Spanish and English, and I have a funny accent. So I think it works.
I mean, I've both. Well, actually, the visual effects artist who is been working on my first feature for a while now. He's I believe he's from Colombia. He's not from Mexico, but he's from Colombia, and his accent is much thicker than yours. I promise you. It's
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I don't do too
yeah.
much about it. I think it's funny.
So tell me, because I'm curious. There's different types of fulfillment, and from that artists get from different types of art. Um, so tell me about the differences that you get in terms of the reward of both acting that you've had in the past, as well as that high that you can get from performing or creating music.
Sure. I feel like it's very different because when you do a show, you get people's like reaction right there, right away. Like you finish a song, they
Hmm.
could clap, they could scream, they could not. It could be an awkward silence, or it could be, like there's just some. It's like you get people's reaction right there. If they're dancing, if they're moving, if they're jumping, if they're sitting down, like it's just so fast. And with TV, it's like it's on the air, and then you don't know if people liked it or not. It was on the air.
You have to go online and look at the interviews. It's just like and see what the reviews are for it.
You have to check on the comments. You have to wait till people see it and then react to it and then post something, or they'll tell you in the streets, or like you'll know on a different way. So it's very interesting how they're so different. Obviously, with social media nowadays, it's faster to know if they like something that was on
Mhm.
the air on TV or Netflix or whatever, right? But back in the day, it wasn't like that. So it's very different. I like better the shows because it just like it empowers you a little bit more. It's like you kind of feel like a rock star for a little bit. It's like that rush, that adrenaline, the people, the girls. It's like whoa, like you, there's something very special about rock and roll shows. And on TV, it can be bigger. It's
Okay.
like it can be bigger because there's so many more people watching it than the people that watch you on a show. Even if it was a 3,000 people show, I promise you there's more people out there watching TV than 3,000 people on a venue, or
Mm-hmm.
300 or 200, or so. It's like you reach more people with TV. You get a little bit more recognition with TV, I would say, than
Well,
doing
yeah,
shows.
there's different feedback because there's different feedback loops when it comes to an artist and how their audience interacts with them. When you're coming to a live performance, the response from the audience is instant, and you know whether something's working or not. And so there's a much quicker time to recalibrate or to try something different in order to bring them back into the boat, and give them a good time. With television and film, you do get more time to work on the craft because there's a lot more. It's much more meticulous. There's a lot more moving parts. You get a lot more times to rehearse, ideally, and then again, a lot more people watch it, and so there will be more people to give you feedback. So you'll have a larger data set, essentially, in order to actually see where maybe the things that were great about it and things that maybe need improved on more. So they kind of balance each other out in terms of live performance versus very structured production value.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely miss the set. like being on a set and being with, people that works there, like, and it's such a magical feeling being on. It can be very stressful too. It depends on how, like, the director and the production are. They can be some really stressful
Hmm.
productions. There's a lot of drama and blah blah blah, like with the actors and actors. Like it could be messy, but it's so beautiful too. It's you learn a lot every time you're on a set, just like you learn a lot every time you do a show. Um, but I don't know. Like I definitely feel like music, it's always been there for me. Like when I started my TV shows when I was a kid, we used to have songs on the TV shows. And then I did another one, and it was the same, like the show with songs, and we would do shows. So it's always been there. And then when I did radio, I'm introducing to songs, and I'm interviewing artists that sing songs. And then, like, we used to have like this like every year there was like this big radio festival of that radio station, and it was just a bunch of artists interviewing them, like, introducing them like on the big show. So it's always been like there both. But the last years it's been like, music, just music, 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 because it has consumed me. And I feel like that's the real path that I want to do. Like, it's music. Nothing makes me feel like music. There's no TV shows or radio shows or nothing else makes me feel like a rock and
Why do you
roll.
think music is so seductive to people who really get that kick out of it when it comes to listening to, the rhythms and the melodies as well as the lyrics?
It's so addictive. It's so addictive. Like, I don't know what is it, but I'm definitely using my speaker way more than that TV. Like that TV, I haven't used it once. Like, you know, and I'm always blasting songs on my speaker, and I'm always like rehearsing and doing shows or writing new songs. Like, I love watching a good series. I love watching a good movie. I love going to the movie theater. It's one of my favorite things to do. But I prefer to spend that money on a CD, I think, or on a vinyl.
I
Like,
do,
I'm
yeah.
so obsessed. Like, it has become my whole personality. I don't know. What are you into? What's your
Well,
biggest?
I'm based out of, for all intents and purposes, Cincinnati, Ohio, which the art scene over the last 10 years has definitely grown a lot more, which I'm excited for. Even the Sundance Film Festival is still considering relocating to Cincinnati as one of its top cities for its consideration, which I think that would bring a lot of eyes onto our art scene because it's bittersweet because you do have that small town vibe because instead of basically unlike Hollywood, I would imagine there was it's not like one conglomerate area of artists. There's just little pockets everywhere of people who work with each other, and
Yeah.
so that has its advantages as well as disadvantages. Because people they got to work with each other, but you're also kind of stuck with whoever you're stuck with necessarily in your area. But there are enough people to go around to be able to create a project. But because there's not as many eyes necessarily on our area, not a lot. It's difficult to try to strike and find funding. We have to find producers that are in the larger areas, New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and all those things, and try to get them over to here, or we end up going over there. So it's like I said, it's got its advantages and disadvantages. But I'm working on my first feature film, which has been in production for too long because it was too ambitious for the age that I decided to go for it, as it goes. It has a lot of visual effects with it, but that's been the main headache.
I
And over the past few years, I've been working on my craft of screenwriting and
Wow.
doing. So I've been I've been trying to network a lot more because I realize you can't really you can't accomplish it. You can accomplish very very good work by yourself, but you still got to put yourself out there and everything. And so I've been connecting a lot more with filmmakers and a lot, and and this podcast has also been a great tool for that as well, because I gotten to meet a lot of different people. I got to meet Bentley, and then I got to meet you, and I got to meet lots of other people. So it's been great. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I would do differently, but there's definitely some things that could be done better. You know.
Yeah, that's why I moved to LA, because I knew that it was here where like most of the people that it's gonna take me to the level I want to get are, like they're here, most of them,
Mm-hmm.
or as you said, New York, like the main cities. So I always knew that it was a good move for me to come here. And then I did this Limp Bizkit tour, and I'm like, okay, I think I was right. My guts were right on this one.
Mm-hmm. Though, so tell me a little bit more about your music, because you recently moved to Hollywood, right?
Yeah, so when I came to LA, it was like 3 years ago, and first I was in West Hollywood. I was like coming back and forth basically, but
Okay.
um, but I was in West Hollywood, and I was just like meeting people, just going out there, introducing myself to people, and like it was a great time because we were playing with Johnny Nasty Boots, and people were liking it a lot,
Mm.
we, we weren't doing really business. It was more like promoting ourselves and getting people just to know who we are. And it was a great time. We both fell in love. We both like grow in so many different ways. I don't play with Nasty Boots anymore, but it was a lot of growing in that first era for me here. And then also, I was always in West Hollywood, just like a couple of blocks away from the Rainbow, like super close to the Rainbow, and in the Whiskey I go, all these iconic places of the Sunset Strip. And then I moved to Hollywood with my partner, and now I'm in a place by my own, but still in Hollywood. So that's been like my little journey here.
Okay. Um, you recently released. Actually, it was last year. You released. Was it? It looked like it may have been your first English lyric video, and you might have to correct me on this. I did my best, but there's your stuff is a little. It's spread out. I did my best to kind of a conglomerate and do my research in that way. But mostly, you've done music that was with Spanish lyrics, and I was wondering if there's any differences that you've noticed when it came to communicating music to a Spanish speaking audience versus communicating to an English speaking audience.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting question. Yeah, last year, 2024, I put out my first full English lyric song and music video, which is Nobody Cares. And then I released after that my very first Spanglish song, which is Hasta Nunca.
Spanglish.
Yeah, and I'm singing in English and Spanish. I'm not singing like combining the two of them on the same phrase. It's more like there's one verse in Spanish and then there's another verse in
Kind of like
English.
K-pop.
I guess, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they'll speak in English and then they'll speak in Korean for like different parts and verses, or the bridge
I
and
don't
stuff.
combine them, but like like I don't speak Spanish and English on the same verse. I
Hmm.
I haven't got there yet. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I just don't love how it sounds. And the other way it sounds a little better when you like separate them. Anyway, at least that's just my style. It's with reggaeton nowadays and Latin music, they do whatever. They don't give a fuck. It's
Mm.
interesting. But anyway, so yeah, it's cool that I did that because it opened a door, for myself, for my career as a songwriter. And now I'm working on my album, which is gonna have songs in English and songs in Spanish. I feel like for my Spanish audience, it's better when I have a Spanish song because it connects with them easier.
Hmm.
Like they know the lyrics faster. They learn the lyrics easier. And Of course, if I release a song in English, it's better for my American audience because they would get it right away. But the the Spanish audience, they know English too because they love all the American acts,
Right.
and they love all the European acts. So of course they know English big time. In Mexico and shit, they fucking know English. And then in America, they don't know as much Spanish, but they like it. They're interested in it. They wish they could like speak more of it. So they like that I speak in English too, in Spanish.
Okay.
So I, I'm still like testing that that theory of like what works better. If I put out a song in Spanish, if I put out a song in English, if I put out a song in both languages, like it this first period for me of my new album, it's like testing, testing my audience. Right now, I don't have the answers for a lot of stuff because I'm just testing what works better. But I'll tell you that for sure, it's easier for me to write songs in English. It just
Really?
flows. Yeah, even though my first language is Spanish, in English it just flows way faster and way easier.
Is it because there's less like smaller syllabled words that you have to that communicate in a sentence?
Yeah, maybe. Like sometimes I'll be writing a song in Spanish and then I'm like kind of stuck. And then I'm like, what if I'll just tell this but in English? Boom! And then I start to write like a lot and I like finish the song and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what it was. Like it's just, I don't know, it just flows. It sounds better too. Especially because I do like rock pop. And so,
Interesting to hear you say that though, because your first language is Spanish. You know?
but I don't listen to Spanish music. Almost nothing. Like, well, I do, but it's like 95 or 90% of the music I listen to, it's in English.
Do you
So
think
for
most of your influences come from English bands?
Yeah, exactly, big time. So whenever I'm writing a song, I'm like in the back of my head, it's like it's gonna sound better in English. Like, and it also opens the door, and this is what I'm trying to do with this album. It's to open the door for me to reach a bigger audience than if I would be
Right.
releasing an album in Spanish, because I would be reducing myself to the Latin American audience, which is huge, but it's not as huge as the rest of the world. So if you have a song in English, you're basically reaching the whole world because it's the number one language in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's better for me, it's better for the song too because it's gonna reach out to more people. And the Spanish audience, there might not be as happy as with a Spanish song, but they're gonna still understand it, and they're gonna be able to sing along with it. Does that make
There's
sense?
more people in that speak Spanish that will listen to the English music than the other way around.
Exactly. They're gonna still be into it, and also, if it's a good song, it's a good song.
That's true.
Like
Yeah.
doesn't matter the language. It's what when it's a good song, it's a good song. And I don't. There's a lot of people on social media that from Mexico, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of left Mexico, and I don't want to go back to Mexico. I love Mexico. I'm just saying that this is one of the reasons that I'm not there anymore. It's because people criticize a lot. Like
Hmm.
they're really judgmental. So in my case, there's a lot of people judging me for singing in English,
It,
and
like a traitor or something like that.
yeah, on Facebook or TikTok or whatever.
No bueno, man. No bueno.
Yeah. Why are you singing in English? Like that's so stupid. You're Mexican. And it's like, no, that's so stupid to limitate myself just because I'm from Mexico, not to sing in English when I'm totally capable of. You
Do you
know?
think there's anything about Spanish in terms of the way the language flows that uh, does things better than English when it comes to music?
I feel like the way it feels, it's they both feel really different in my opinion. Like
Mm.
it's a different vibe, it's a different drive. So there's moments where Spanish would just work better, you know, and there's moments where English would work better. So yeah, there's a lot of artists in Spanish that definitely those songs wouldn't work as good in English, you know, like they're meant to be in Spanish, like they're
Mm.
perfect in that language. And when you do like same with English, like there like there's this Robbie Williams song that everybody likes to translate to Spanish. The Angel, da, 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 angel, da,
Mm.
you know that song, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know it.
Well, that song in Latin America, they love to make Spanish versions of it.
Does it
I mean,
work?
they make it work, but if you know the real version in English, it's not as good. It's like like it just sounds awkward, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah, I see.
So when I'm writing a song, like I'm just not thinking about it. I'm just like whatever it flows. Like if
Whatever
it's
comes to mind.
yeah, like sometimes I'm thinking about writing a song in English, and then like I actually start saying something really cool in Spanish, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep going in Spanish, you know, like what whatever it is, unless I'm doing something with my bands. My
Mm.
band sings English, so then I'm doing something in English for sure, you know, because I
Sure.
know
Yeah.
that's the that's the point.
When I'm curious about where you get your inspiration from, because like you have a you do rock and roll. You have a very you kind of look like a rock star. You got the vibe going. um, uh, and English was obviously something that was an influence on you. When it comes to those moments of creativity, those sparks, those eureka moments of like, oh, that thing popped in my head, and now I gotta go write it down. I gotta see if I can flesh this out. What are those? What is there any commonalities that you've noticed in terms of the circumstances surrounding those moments of sparks of creativity that just play, or is it completely random when you get creative divine intervention going on?
Yeah, in my case, it's always like some big feeling, big emotion that drives me to write a song.
Hmm.
Or I need to like sit down with my guitar and just like try to get something out of it, you know? Like it has happened for me. It has happened to me for sure that I'm just randomly cooking something and then I'm singing this weird melody with some lyrics and then it's like, oh, that's fucking good. Let me record that. But mostly for me, it's like when I'm really feeling something and I'm like feeling really shitty or crying or just like really fucking depressed. And that's when I'm like, holy shit, like I just need to let this out. It's kind of like a therapy for me. Like I just need to let this go somehow. Like I can hold it anymore. So
An
I grab
intense emotion.
like what?
An intense emotion.
Yeah, an intense emotion, and that's when most of my songs are have been coming from, like wanting to express it, to say it out loud, and it helps me to like liberate myself from, like I feel better. It's like when you cry, and then
Mm-hmm.
after you stop crying, you feel better. You feel like you reach the next floor, and it's like
Yeah.
okay, I cried about it, and now I can put that in the past, and I can move forward, kind of thing. That's how it feels with songs.
I can
You
kind
write,
of sympathize with that though, because like when it comes to like writing my screenplays, it's like okay, I've got the idea of how I want this story to go. I got the end. I've started in the beginning, and then I got everything in the middle that you got to sort out. It's just
yeah,
a giant mess. It's just this hairball that you got to untangle and then neatly weave into a nice, beautiful shirt or something like that.
yeah,
But those, I've always actually found that when, and I've tried to, because I'm into psychology. I like to see how the brain works. I want to see what's really going on underneath the hood. And I've thought about this, and I think it's actually creativity in a real way is like deliberate irresponsibility. You know,
Wow.
so like think about like those moments in childhood that bred that creative mindset. You know, it's usually because there was something else that you were supposed to be doing, and then you were going off and playing and doing. You were shirking responsibility because there was something you would rather be doing because you were more curious or interested in it. So there's this almost kind of when you come up or get away with a moment of creativity that you feel that you just know instinctually that it works. It's almost because it almost feels naughty in a certain way. It's like, I got away with it. It's like sticking your hand in the cookie jar and then like, sweet. I found I found the Holy Grail and I took it and then I went away with my treasure. It's kind of like treasure hunting in a very real way.
It feels really good. Yeah, I agree. It feels really good to get a song done, and or your screenplay, and like, okay, I sort out like that part. Like it's like you feel good with yourself for sure every time you do creativity. It's a very interesting way, the way you said it. Like I've never thought about it like that before, and I think it's really curious how, like, yeah, sometimes we use those moments of creativity to get away from reality or get away from big actual responsibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a getaway from things, and it works out really well for sure. And for me, like, I relate with that in the sense of i I want to, like, it's a way to deal with my emotions, it's like, and I wish I used to write songs when I was younger, because this is like, I've been writing songs for a while, but then the last 3 years, it's been like a lot of songs, and most of them are being produced, and most of them are gonna be released. So it's not only like, oh, I wrote a song and that's it. It's somewhere there on my notebook, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a recording. No, it's being produced, and it's gonna come out, and it has a music video and shit. It's like it becomes so much more than just a song that I wrote, and then when it becomes something for people, like when that song became part of people's lives and soundtrack, it's it's so like cathartic. It's so cathartic. It's like nothing compares to that. So yeah, I love that's how I write songs, like out of a big emotion, and just, and I get a lot of inspired from the things that I've been listening lately.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, that song, Nobody Cares, I was listening so much to Oasis. And I think you can tell, like, because it's a groovy mid tempo song. And it's
It
like
has a similar vibe, yeah.
it's very Liam Gallagher, like even the voice, it's like very Liam Gallagher. It's like the vibe. It's because I was listening so much to Oasis, and that happens to me. Like if I'm listening a lot to certain band or certain style of music, like my brain would go there, and try to fit in that vibe somehow. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it works because I mean, it's very subconscious. Like it's not like I'm trying to make a song like Oasis. It's just like this is the vibe right now.
You can
This
only
is,
help how much other things influence you because those things that you listen to or that you create or that you watch when it comes to movies, they if it's strong enough to have an impact, on your emotions, if it's able to actually cross that line in your brain in your psychology that actually affects you, then there's going to be some similarities because you want to recreate that feeling to be able to give it to others. It's like you're in the chain of batons that are just passing it off to the next person.
yeah.
And so where do you think the line for you personally is when it comes to like how aware are you or paranoid are you about? um, doing something that's been done before and creating something that's original?
Oof, that's a big one right there. I mean, uh, I don't let it go in my head too much because I'm I'm not trying to do the same thing that other people did, but I'm also not worried about it because I know that most of everything has been done already. It's hard to make something completely new, and I feel like I'm gonna get there. Like I feel like right now
Mm.
it's a very early stage for my solo music. I've been having a solo career since I'm a little kid. Like I had my first album when I was 12, but I didn't wrote any of those songs. And then I had singles when I was like a teenager and shit, but they weren't wrote by me except for one song. It's called Hechizo Mortal. That's the first song that I wrote that it was like produced like big time, and I'm on the drums, and it's the first song that I'm on the drums, and it's out there on digital platforms. It's called Hechizo Mortal. In English, that means like deadly spell. So anyway, but there were most of them. There were my songs, right? It was like other people's songs, and now this is gonna be my first album as a solo act with only my songs. So that feels really good, and I feel like I'm just doing whatever I'm feeling, whatever it was on my head. I just let it out there. I didn't thought too much about like, oh, but this has been done before. Oh, this sounds like Oasis. This sounds like Angels and Airwaves. I was like, fuck it. If it sounds like them, then that's what it is. Like it's a song with that vibe. It's an album with that energy. Like
Mm.
there's so many bands that are so similar and they're still so big and so successful and so fucking good. It's like, for example, I love Simple Plan, I love All Time Low. Those guys are trying to sound like Blink. you
Yeah,
know
yeah, that's true.
and I love Blink-182, and they're still super successful, and nobody gives a shit that they're trying to sound like Blink, even though they don't. But they're so good either way. It doesn't matter that it's just they're so fucking good. So I feel like that's something special too. Like where it's like Kiss. Kiss is one of my favorite bands. Kiss were trying to do some Led Zeppelin and the Who stuff, you
Hmm.
know, and the whole world loves Kiss, and they're not as good as the Who or Led Zeppelin, but they're still fucking one of the biggest bands in the world. So when you think of that, it's like I don't feel that bad if my song sounds like Oasis. I actually like it. Although my point here is, I hope that eventually soon I get to find even more like myself in my sound and
Mm.
like adjust it and you know pull the diamond so I can like create something completely original and new and fresh that doesn't sound like anybody else. I feel like I just need more time, more experience as a songwriter to get there. Right now I'm just like letting it out there, whatever it is.
Do you think you wouldn't be able to go into that stage of originality that you're striving for if you didn't like have this sort of mentality where it's just like let it be, let it be.
Yeah, I feel like if I would be stuck into trying to do something completely new, I could be stuck there for years. And
Mm.
maybe the songs that I'm releasing right now and that I'm about to release, they would have needed to take 2 more years or more to to see the light of day. But the fact that I'm like, fuck it, it is what it is. It could sound newer. It sounds kind of vintage. It sounds kind of 90s. It doesn't sound too much 2025 ish. Well, whatever. They have to be out there because if they're not out there, I'm stuck with those songs. And even though I can still write new songs, I'm gonna want to finish these songs too. And they're never gonna be finished because the songs are what it is. I could adjust them. I could make them completely different. I can make a not beat song a down tempo song and just completely change the feeling of it. But it's a waste of time. You know, the songs are what they are, and they're there, and they'll do their shit. And what I feel like what's very important for me as an artist right now is to get free of those songs, like liberate my songs, myself. Sorry, liberate myself from those songs, and be like, okay, they're done. They're out there. They're doing their thing. I don't have to worry about them anymore. I mean,
It's in the past.
I still have to promote them. I still have to make a music video for them. I still have to do a lot of shit with those songs.
Perform them live.
Perform them, rehearse them, blah blah blah. But the most important thing is that my creativity, music-wise, on that song or on that bunch of songs, it's done, and I can focus that on the newer stuff. And if I'm always stuck in those songs, trying to make them better or trying to make them sound newer, it's just gonna take me somewhere else. It's the most
Right.
genuine thing for me to do is just to let the songs out just the way they are.
Where
You
do you
know,
think your most genuine work and creativity comes from? Solitude or collaboration?
collaboration for sure, but it's been hard to find like, especially for my solo songs, it's
Mm.
hard to find like somebody that fully like gets it in production wise. And what I mean by that is not that I have complex productions, is that the style and the taste. It's like my songs has a specific drive and taste. So when I found my producer in my hometown, Gaspas, this guy, he was on one of the bands that I used to love when I was a kid, or they're still around, but they don't do much. They're not as active, but they're called, their name is Novel, and my last song Hasta Nunca, it's featuring them. Um, and he is my producer, and he understands me so well. Like he just gets me, and his style, it's everything he does. I like it. Everything, it just feels like it fits my songs.
Mm.
I haven't got that much with other people in terms of my songs because I've always been in bands, and in the bands it's different because it's the band sound, the band's decision, whatever everybody likes, whatever everybody's happy with. And here it's all about me, so I really need to take care of what, how am I sounding like. So the fact that I have my producer and that I can get to do the songs with him and do the collaboration thing has been the most wonderful thing for my music, because without that I would be like stuck trying to figure it out a lot of shit, you know.
Right.
He helps me a lot to like finish my songs, um especially like because we have such a easy communication on music, so I can just tell him like, dude, no, like I want to do this, and he'll get it. You know, he knows what I'm trying to do, and then we'll work on it. You know.
Right. Yeah. Well, oh God, I had one more good question, and it slipped my mind. ADHD does not help. I'll tell you what. I
No,
probably, I probably need to become a weed smoker, to be perfectly frank.
you don't smoke any pot?
I like. I mean, I have. Um, I'll have some gummies every now and then, or something like that. But I hear it's completely different. It's not really. It's not really the same thing.
All right, where are you at?
I'm from Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's whatever. I'm sure you guys have the legitimately good stuff. That's actually grown in open air. It's not grown in someone's basement. I hear there's actually a very real difference when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, I must say that I feel like sometimes it's even too strong. Like, it's too much. Like, I don't know what they do to it, but they're definitely putting some stuff in it because it's very fucking strong.
Maybe. Oh, I remember now. Right.
All
Um,
right.
the what do you think you need to do next to reach that next level of where you want to go?
Um, I need to put on a show as a solo act. I would say that would be like the
Mhm.
next stage I need to do for me, like to be able to perform these songs live with a band. I think that would be the greatest next move. But music wise, um, I feel like just keep going, keep doing what I'm doing, and trying to collaborate with other people. That
Mm.
I feel like that would be my biggest next thing. Like work with other people to write songs for myself, for my solo project, and then take them to my producer and do them. But like that's what I'm really looking forward right now, to be able to work on a song with somebody else here in Los Angeles, but knowing that it's gonna be like for my songs, you know.
Okay, gotcha.
So I can really like expand myself more creatively, and not be like limited by my own self, because somebody else will bring something different that I like to, and that I can use, or that can inspire me, and just it'll be better. I know that it'll get somewhere really fucking cool, but with that mindset that it's like for my songs, because um there I have a specific style, I feel like, and it's like kind of like romantic and depressing, and and I like that, like, because you have to also like put a direction on what's your target and where you're trying to go, and what's the kind of vibe that you're bringing. And like my songs, it's like heartbreak songs, like
Mm.
they you can use them for when you're going through a breakup, when you're dealing with heavy emotions, and it's like th- this kind of songs has to be like very personal, super
Right.
super personal. So with that mindset, um, I will be so down to collaborate, because most of the songs right now, it's just been me. It's just only me. I haven't really like write with other
Mm.
people for my songs. With the bands, it's been different, right? But
Okay. Yeah.
for my shit, like I'm really looking forward to collaborate with other people.
Nice. Well, I hope you do well. You certainly seem like you have that gumption to be able to actually try to go for it.
Yeah, no, that's 100% the goal. It's just sometimes it's hard to find the time and organize with other people. Like in Los Angeles,
Tell me
everybody,
about it.
yeah, everybody has so much shit to do. I have so much shit to do.
Mhm.
It's hard sometimes to get things done, but little by little, get in there.
All right. Well, Oscar, it's been great getting to know you, and thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I know you got a hectic schedule and everything. So,
Oh,
do you have any final thoughts you want to leave with the audience?
well, yeah. So just uh, go stream the songs. They're out there. Um, there's some songs from my past that are out there too, if you want to see um, what I've done in the past. And I just put out the song with my band Blitz. It's called Down to Hell. It just came out a couple of weeks ago.
Down to
Um,
hell.
Down to Hell. It's our first song, our first single. So I'm really excited about that. So if people wanna check that out, would be awesome. And coming really soon, like at the end of this month or at the beginning of March, should be a new solo song out there with a music video. So I'm really excited about that.
All right. Well, I'll keep an eye out for sure, and I
Yeah,
follow you on everything, and I'll link all your stuff in the descriptions of all the media that I put out from this.
thank you,
So,
man. Yeah, yeah. But
yeah, no
please
problem.
send it
Well,
to me. Right. Well, I appreciate it, bro. That was a good talk. Thank you so much. And I hope we can have another chat soon where
yeah, for
there's
sure.
much more things to talk about once the album is out and shit.
Of course. Yeah, I'd like to have you back on. Thanks
All
for
right,
coming
bro.
on.